The garage door rumbled shut behind me as I walked into our kitchen, laptop bag slung over my shoulder after another 12-hour day debugging corporate networks. The smell of takeout Chinese hung in the air, Jade's go-to when she couldn't be bothered cooking. She sat at our granite island, perfectly manicured fingers tapping against her wine glass, that look on her face I'd grown to recognize over 18 years of marriage. "Cole, we need to talk," she said, not looking up from her phone. I set my bag down and grabbed a beer from the fridge. "Let me guess, another late showing tonight?" Her laugh had an edge to it. "Actually, no. I'm going on a date tonight, and I don't want you to wait up." The beer bottle stopped halfway to my lips. This was it, the moment I'd been expecting for months. The late nights, the mysterious phone calls, the sudden interest in expensive workout clothes and professional hair appointments. My wife of 18 years, mother of our twin daughters Emma and Sophie, was finally admitting what I'd suspected since spring. "I'm going out with someone who actually appreciates me," she continued, her voice gaining confidence. "Someone who makes me feel alive again instead of like a housekeeper married to a computer." I took a long sip of beer and watched her face. She was waiting for the explosion, the pleading, the desperate questions about who and why and how long. Instead, I smiled. "I was hoping you'd finally be honest." The triumphant expression on her face collapsed like a house of cards. Her green eyes, the ones that had captivated me in college, narrowed with confusion. "What did you just say?" "I said I was hoping you'd say that." I pulled out one of the bar stools and sat across from her. "It makes everything so much simpler." Jade's perfectly glossed lips parted, but no words came. This wasn't the script she'd rehearsed. 23 years in IT had taught me to read people like code. Every expression, every gesture had meaning. Right now, she was processing an unexpected error. "You're not angry?" she finally managed. "Angry? Jade, I've been waiting for this conversation since you started working late every Tuesday and Thursday. Since you started going to that new gym across town instead of the one 5 minutes from here. Since you bought lingerie I've never seen you wear." Her face flushed red. "You've been spying on me." "I've been married to you for 18 years. I notice things." I finished my beer and set the bottle down with deliberate calm. "So who is he? Let me guess. Someone from that CrossFit place you've been raving about." "His name is Trent," she said, lifting her chin defiantly. "He's a personal trainer and a businessman. He actually listens when I talk." "Trent Corren?" The color drained from her face. "How do you—" "Small town, Jade. Plus, you left his business card on your dresser last week. TC Fitness Consulting." I stood and walked to our junk drawer, pulling out the card she'd forgotten about. "Nice logo. Very professional." She snatched the card from my hand. "You have no right to go through my things." "Our bedroom, our dresser. But you're right. I should respect your privacy better, just like you've been respecting our marriage." The sarcasm hit its mark. Jade's jaw tightened, and she stood up, grabbing her purse from the counter. "I don't have to listen to this. Trent is taking me to dinner at Romano's, and then we're going to have an adult conversation about our future together." "Romano's? Expensive choice. I hope he's paying, because your credit cards might not work." She froze with her hand on the door handle. "What are you talking about?" I pulled my phone from my pocket and showed her the banking app. "I closed our joint accounts this morning, transferred exactly half the balance to your personal account, your fair share of our marital assets." "You can't do that." "Actually, I can. My name's on the accounts, too." I scrolled through the transactions. "Interesting pattern here, by the way. You've been withdrawing $500 in cash every week for the past 8 months. That's, let me calculate, $16,000. What exactly have you been spending that on?" Jade's purse slipped from her shoulder. "That's my money. I work too." "Of course you do. Jade Marrin, licensed real estate agent. Very successful, according to your LinkedIn profile. Though I did notice something odd when I was updating my own profile earlier." Her eyes widened. "What did you do?" I handed her my phone, LinkedIn open to my professional page. The post was simple, direct, and had already garnered 47 likes and 12 comments in the 30 minutes since I'd published it. "After 18 years of marriage, Jade and I have decided to divorce due to irreconcilable differences. I want to thank my colleagues and friends for their support during this transition. I'll be maintaining my focus on Marrin IT solutions and our clients' needs." "You posted this?" Her voice cracked. "Without talking to me first?" "You were busy planning your date. I didn't want to interrupt." She scrolled through the comments, her face growing paler with each one. My business associates, her real estate colleagues, neighbors, even her sister Karen had already seen it. The careful narrative she'd been crafting, the neglected wife, the workaholic husband, had been preempted by simple honesty. 312 people have seen this, she whispered. 315 now. Social media moves fast. I took my phone back. You should probably call Trent. Let him know he's taking a soon-to-be-divorced woman to dinner instead of a married one sneaking around. Jade's phone buzzed. Then again. Then a rapid succession of notifications as friends and family began reaching out. Her carefully constructed double life was collapsing in real time. I need to fix this, she muttered, frantically typing. Fix what? The truth? I walked to the window and looked out at our suburban street. You know what's funny, Jade? I actually feel relieved. For months, I've been wondering if I was going crazy. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the way you jump when I walked into a room. I started thinking maybe I was paranoid. Cole, we can talk about this. We are talking about it. You're going on a date with Trent Corren. I'm staying home with a pizza and Netflix. Tomorrow you can call a lawyer. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Just like that? 18 years, and you're giving up? I'm not giving up, Jade. You already did that. I turned back to face her. The question is, are you still going on that date, or do you want to stay and explain to Emma and Sophie why Mommy and Daddy are getting divorced? Her phone buzzed again. This time she looked at it, and her face went white. What now? I asked. Trent, he saw your LinkedIn post. He's asking if I lied to him about being separated. The irony was perfect. Did you? I told him we were basically roommates, that we were just staying together for the girls until they graduated. Emma and Sophie are 16, Jade. 2 more years of high school. So you were planning to lie to me for 2 more years while you figured out your exit strategy? She didn't answer, but she didn't need to. The truth was written all over her face. Go on your date, I said quietly. But when you come home tonight, we're going to have a very different conversation than the one you planned. Jade left 20 minutes later, her departure marked by the aggressive slam of her BMW door and the screech of tires on asphalt. I stood at the kitchen window, watching her taillights disappear around the corner, and felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. My phone rang. Emma's contact photo, a goofy selfie from last summer's vacation, filled the screen. Dad? What's going on? Mom posted some weird thing on Facebook about moving forward and new chapters, but Karen's calling asking about divorce. I closed my eyes. The girls were at their friend Madison's house for a sleepover, safely away from tonight's drama. Em, your mom and I are having some problems. We'll talk tomorrow when you and Sophie get home, okay? Are you getting divorced? 18 years old in 2 years, but still my little girl. We're going to figure things out. Don't worry about it tonight. Have fun with Madison. Dad, Emma, I promise we'll talk tomorrow. Both of you, together. No surprises. After she hung up, I poured another beer and walked to my home office. Time to review the evidence I'd been collecting for the past 6 months. My IT consulting business had taught me the value of documentation. Every system breach, every network failure, every client dispute, everything got logged, time-stamped, and saved. When I'd started suspecting Jade's affair, I'd applied the same methodology. The first file on my desktop was labeled Phone Records. As the administrator on our family plan, I had legal access to call logs and text metadata. Not the content, that would require a warrant, but timestamps, numbers, frequency. The pattern was undeniable. Trent Corren's number appeared in Jade's logs starting March 15th. Initially, calls were brief and during business hours. By April, they'd grown longer and shifted to evenings. By May, they were talking multiple times daily, often for hours after I'd gone to bed. The second file contained financial records. Our joint accounts showed regular cash withdrawals every Tuesday, always $500, always from the ATM near TC Fitness Consulting. Jade's personal credit card statements, which I could access through our shared financial management app, revealed purchases that didn't match her claimed activities. Expensive dinners on nights she'd claimed to be showing houses. Hotel charges in the next town over during supposed client meetings. The third file was the most damning, are screenshots of Jade's social media activity, her Facebook check-ins, Instagram posts, LinkedIn updates, all time-stamped and geotagged. On 17 separate occasions over the past 4 months, she'd been active on social media from locations that contradicted her stated whereabouts. My phone buzzed with a text from my brother Jake. Saw your post? You okay? I typed back. Better than I've been in months. Need anything? A good lawyer recommendation. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared. Finally, call David Brennan. He handled my friend's divorce last year, tough but fair. I Googled David Brennan while finishing my beer. His website was professional, his reviews excellent, and his specialization was high-asset divorces involving business ownership. Perfect. My laptop chimed with an email notification. The sender made me smile. Dr. Soren Valden, our marriage counselor. Cole, I hope you're well. Could you call me at your earliest convenience? There's something we need to discuss regarding your sessions with Jade. Dr. Valden had been seeing us individually for the past 3 months after our joint sessions had devolved into accusations and silence. Jade had insisted on continuing solo therapy, claiming she needed space to work on herself. I'd stopped going after the 4th session when it became clear she was using our marriage counselor as a sounding board for her exit strategy rather than genuinely trying to repair our relationship. I called his after-hours number. Cole, thank you for calling so quickly. Dr. Valden's voice carried an unusual tension. I'm afraid I have some disturbing information to share. Jade approached me last week with a highly inappropriate request. What kind of request? She offered me $15,000 to provide a written psychological evaluation diagnosing you with narcissistic personality disorder. The beer bottle slipped in my grip. She what? She claimed it would help her in divorce proceedings, that she needed professional documentation of your emotional abuse to ensure custody of the twins. When I explained that such a diagnosis would require extensive testing and evaluation, and that I couldn't ethically provide a predetermined conclusion, she became quite agitated. Did you report this? I'm required to report attempted bribery to the state licensing board. I also recorded our conversation, legally, as I inform all clients that sessions may be recorded for quality assurance. Cole, I want you to know that in my professional opinion, you show no signs of narcissistic personality disorder. In fact, your willingness to engage in therapy and accept responsibility for your role in marital problems suggests the opposite. I sat down hard in my desk chair. She was going to use a fake psychological evaluation against me. It appears so. I wanted you to be aware before any legal proceedings begin. My records and the recording are available if needed. After hanging up, I stared at my computer screen for a long time. The woman I'd married, the mother of my children, had tried to bribe a therapist to fabricate a psychological disorder. This wasn't just an affair, it was a calculated campaign to destroy me. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. Is this Cole Marrin? Speaking. This is Trent Corren. I think we need to talk. I almost laughed. Do we? Look, man, I had no idea Jade was still married. She told me you guys were separated, just living in the same house for the kids, when I saw your LinkedIn post tonight. You realized she'd been lying to you, too. A long pause. Yeah, among other things. What other things? Can we meet? Somewhere neutral? I think you need to hear what she's been telling me about you, and about her plans. Romano's restaurant was only 15 minutes away. The irony of meeting Jade's affair partner at the same place she'd planned to have dinner with him wasn't lost on me. Romano's parking lot, I said. 20 minutes. How will I know you? I'll be the guy whose wife you've been having an affair with. Trent Corren was exactly what I'd expected. 6'2", gym-sculpted physique, the kind of artificially white smile that suggested expensive dental work. He leaned against a silver pickup truck, nervously checking his phone when I pulled into Romano's parking lot. Cole? He approached my car as I got out, hand extended. Thanks for meeting me. I ignored the handshake. Talk. Right. Okay. He ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair. This is awkward as hell, but I think Jade's been playing both of us. How so? She told me you were abusive, emotionally controlling, said you monitored her every move, controlled the finances, threatened to take the kids if she left. He pulled out his phone. She showed me bank statements proving you were hiding money from her. Bank statements? Screenshots, your business accounts, personal savings, investment portfolios. She said you had over $4 million in assets you were concealing from her. I stared at him. $4 million? She said once the divorce was final, she'd get half. Wanted me to invest in a fitness franchise with her. Said we'd use your money to start fresh in Florida. The pieces clicked into place. She was recruiting you as a business partner, not just a boyfriend. That's what I'm starting to think. Trent showed me his phone screen, a text thread with Jade. Look at this message from last week. The lawyer says Cole's software company is worth at least $2.8 million, plus the house, investments, and his consulting contracts. We're talking about serious money, baby, enough to buy that chain of gyms you've been dreaming about. My software company? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. I sold that 3 years ago, used the money to pay off our mortgage and start the IT consulting business. Trent's face went pale. She said you still owned it, that you were hiding the sale from her. The sale was public record. She signed the paperwork. I pulled out my own phone and showed him my banking app. This is what I actually have in savings, about $40,000. The consulting business brings in decent money, but we're not millionaires. He stared at the screen like it was written in a foreign language. She said she showed me documents. Forged. Had to be. I thought about Jade's real estate background, her access to financial software, her ability to manipulate documents. What else did she tell you? That you were planning to have her committed, said you'd been putting something in her food to make her seem unstable. The accusation hit like a physical blow. What? She said you were drugging her with sleeping pills, trying to make her paranoid and forgetful so you could claim she was mentally unfit. I stared at him, pieces of a horrific puzzle falling into place. For months, I'd been exhausted, confused, forgetting conversations and appointments. I'd attributed it to stress from the failing marriage, long work hours, middle age catching up with me. But what if? Trent, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Okay. Has Jade ever mentioned my mother-in-law's sleeping medication? His expression changed. How did you? Yeah. She said her mom gives her pills sometimes when she can't sleep. Why? Because I think she's been putting them in my coffee. We stood in the parking lot, two men who'd been manipulated by the same woman, staring at each other as the full scope of Jade's deception became clear. Jesus, Trent whispered. What kind of person? The kind who tries to bribe a therapist to fake a psychological evaluation, I said. Dr. Valden called me tonight. Jade offered him $15,000 to diagnose me with narcissistic personality disorder. Trent's phone buzzed. He looked at it and cursed. She's texting. Wants to know where I am. Why I didn't show up for dinner. What are you going to tell her? The truth, that I don't date married women, and I definitely don't get involved with people who forge financial documents. He typed rapidly, then showed me the message. Jade, I can't see you anymore. I know about the lies, the fake bank statements, and the fact that you're still married. Don't contact me again. Her response came immediately. What are you talking about? Cole is lying to you. He's trying to turn everyone against me. Then another. Baby, please, let me explain. He's manipulating you just like he manipulates me. And another. I love you. Don't let him destroy what we have. Trent turned off his phone. She's going to keep calling. Probably, but you're smart to cut contact now. I looked toward the restaurant, where other couples were enjoying normal Friday night dinners, blissfully unaware that their lives could implode without warning. Can I ask you something? Sure. Did you actually care about her, or was it just about the money? He was quiet for a long moment. At first, I thought I cared about her. She seemed lonely, trapped in a bad marriage. But looking back, every conversation was about her problems, her plans to leave, what she'd do with her half of your assets. I don't think she ever asked me a single question about my life that wasn't related to business or money. That sounds like the Jade I've been married to for the past 5 years. What changed 5 years ago? I thought about it. Her real estate career took off. She started making good money, meeting wealthy clients, comparing our life to theirs. I think she decided she deserved more than a middle-class IT consultant could provide. So she decided to trade up. Except she wanted to keep my money and get your body and attention. Best of both worlds. Trent's laugh was bitter. What happens now? Now I go home and wait for her to come back from whatever restaurant she ended up at when you didn't show. Tomorrow, I call a lawyer and start divorce proceedings. What about the drugging thing? Are you going to report it? I'm going to get a medical test first. If there's evidence, then yes. We shook hands this time. Two men who'd been played by an expert manipulator, finding unexpected common ground in shared deception. For what it's worth, Trent said as we parted, you seem like a decent guy. She painted a very different picture. I'm sure she did. Take care of yourself, Trent. Driving home, I called my doctor's after-hours line and explained the situation. Dr. Martinez agreed to see me first thing Monday morning for comprehensive testing, including screening for sleeping medication. If Jade had been drugging me, we'd have proof within days. My house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. Jade's BMW wasn't back yet. I sat in my car for a moment, looking at the home we'd shared for 12 years, thinking about the family photos on the mantel, the girl's artwork still stuck to the refrigerator, the life we'd built that was about to be dismantled piece by piece. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Jade. Trent told me you two talked. We need to discuss this like adults. I'm coming home. I typed back. The front door will be unlocked. Your suitcase is packed and in the guest room. Her response was immediate. You can't kick me out of my own house. I'm not kicking you out. I'm suggesting you might be more comfortable somewhere else while we work out the details. This is still my home, then we'll share it until the lawyers sort everything out. But we're not sharing a bedroom. 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Finally, we'll see about that. I smiled grimly and went inside to wait for the next phase of what was clearly going to be a very long war. Jade's BMW pulled into the driveway at 11:47 p.m. I watched from the living room window as she sat in the car for several minutes, phone pressed to her ear, gesturing animatedly. Calling reinforcements, most likely. Her sister Karen, her mother, maybe her real estate broker friends who'd rally around her version of events. When she finally came inside, her demeanor had shifted completely. Gone was the confident woman who'd announced her date 6 hours earlier. This Jade was wounded, defensive, ready for battle. "We need to talk," she said, dropping her purse on the kitchen counter with deliberate force. "I'm listening. Trent told me you filled his head with lies about me, about forged documents and fake bank statements. How could you poison him against me like that?" I almost admired her commitment to the performance. "I didn't have to poison anyone, Jade. I just told him the truth about our finances. Our finances are none of his business. They became his business when you promised him half of my imaginary $4 million. She froze. "He told you about that?" "Among other things, like how you've been claiming I'm emotionally abusive, how you said I was planning to have you committed, how you've been recruiting him as a business partner for your post-divorce life." Jade's face cycled through several expressions: surprise, anger, calculation, finally settling on victimhood. "You don't understand what it's been like living with you, Cole. The constant criticism, the way you control everything." "Stop." I held up a hand. "Just stop. I know about Dr. Valden." The color drained from her face. "What about Dr. Valden?" "The $15,000. The fake psychological evaluation. He reported you to the state licensing board." She sank into one of the kitchen chairs, her carefully constructed narrative crumbling in real time. "He wasn't supposed to. That was confidential." "Attempting to bribe a medical professional isn't confidential, Jade. It's a crime." "I wasn't bribing anyone. I was just asking for his professional opinion." "His professional opinion that I have narcissistic personality disorder? The opinion you were willing to pay $15,000 for?" She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. The Cole she'd married would have been shouting by now, demanding explanations, begging her to work things out. This Cole was calm, methodical, documenting everything. "There's something else we need to discuss," I said, pulling out my phone. "I'm getting a medical examination on Monday." "For what?" "To test for sleeping medication in my system." The reaction was immediate and telling. Jade's eyes widened, her breath caught, and her hand moved instinctively to her throat. Guilty people always touched their necks when confronted with evidence. "Why would you? That's ridiculous." "Is it? For months, I've been exhausted, confused, forgetting conversations. I blamed it on stress, but Trent mentioned something interesting. About your mother's sleeping pills." "My mother has insomnia, so what?" "So I think you've been putting them in my coffee, making me groggy and disoriented while you planned your exit strategy." Jade stood abruptly, knocking her chair backward. "That's insane. You're paranoid." "Am I? Because if those tests come back positive, we're not just talking about divorce anymore. We're talking about assault charges." She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see her mind racing, calculating her options. Finally, she played her last card. "The girls will never forgive you for destroying their family. The girls will understand that their mother was having an affair and planning to leave anyway. At least this way, they'll know the truth instead of whatever story you were planning to tell them." "You think you're so smart," she said, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "But you have no idea what I'm capable of." Actually, I'm starting to get a pretty clear picture. My phone buzzed with a text message. "Emma, Dad, people are posting weird stuff on social media about you and Mom. Madison's mom is asking questions. What's going on?" I showed Jade the message. "Your social media damage control isn't working. People are talking. Let them talk. When I tell my side of the story." "Your side of the story? You mean the version where you're the victim of an abusive husband who was hiding millions of dollars and planning to have you committed?" "People will believe me." "Some will, but not the people who matter. Not Dr. Valden, not Trent, not the bank records or phone logs or credit card statements." Jade grabbed her purse and headed toward the stairs. "I'm going to bed, in our bedroom. The guest room is ready for you." "This is still my house, Cole. My bedroom. You can't make me leave." "You're right, but I can make sure everyone knows exactly who you are." She stopped at the bottom of the stairs. "What's that supposed to mean?" I opened my laptop and showed her the screen. I've been documenting everything, Jade. Every lie, every manipulation, every forged document. Your affair timeline, the bribery attempt, the probable drugging. It's all here, organized, time-stamped, ready for legal proceedings. You've been spying on me. I've been protecting myself. There's a difference. She climbed the stairs without another word, but I heard her on the phone again 20 minutes later, her voice carrying through the thin walls, calling her sister, her mother, anyone who would listen to her version of events. I made myself a cup of tea, checking the container carefully for any foreign substances, and settled in for what I suspected would be a very long weekend. My phone buzzed with another message, this one from my brother Jake. Brennan says he can see you Monday morning, 9 a.m. Want me to come with you? I typed back, thanks, but I can handle it. Time to fight back. About time. She's been walking all over you for years. That stung because it was true. I'd enabled Jade's behavior, made excuses for her selfishness, convinced myself that marriage required compromise and sacrifice. But there was a difference between compromise and capitulation, between sacrifice and self-destruction. Upstairs, I could hear Jade pacing in our bedroom, still on the phone. Tomorrow, she'd start her campaign to control the narrative, to paint herself as the victim and me as the villain. But I had something she didn't expect. The truth, carefully documented and ready to deploy. For the first time in months, I slept peacefully on the living room couch. Monday morning arrived gray and drizzly, matching my mood as I sat in Dr. Martinez's office waiting for test results. He'd drawn samples for a comprehensive drug screening, focusing specifically on zolpidem, the active ingredient in most prescription sleeping medications. The preliminary results show elevated levels of zolpidem in your system, Dr. Martinez said, reviewing the printout. Consistent with regular ingestion over several weeks, possibly months. I felt a mixture of vindication and revulsion. So she was drugging me. Based on these levels, and assuming you haven't been taking sleeping medication yourself, that appears likely. I'll have the full toxicology report ready by Wednesday, along with a medical opinion suitable for legal proceedings. From the medical office, I drove directly to David Brennan's law firm. The building was downtown, all glass and steel, the kind of place that charged $500 an hour and delivered results. Brennan himself was younger than I'd expected, maybe 40, with the sharp-eyed intensity of someone who'd built a reputation on winning difficult cases. I've reviewed the documentation you sent over, he said, gesturing to a thick folder on his desk. Phone records, financial statements, the therapist's report. This is very thorough. I'm in IT. Documentation is what I do. It shows. Most clients come in here with nothing but accusations and hurt feelings. You've got evidence. He opened the folder and pulled out several pages. The attempted bribery of Dr. Valden is particularly damaging. Combined with the probable drugging, assuming your medical tests confirm it, we're looking at potential criminal charges. I don't want to send her to prison. I just want a fair divorce. Understood. But the threat of criminal prosecution gives us significant leverage in negotiations. Brennan leaned back in his chair. Tell me about your business assets. Marrin IT Solutions. Sole proprietorship, about $40,000 in business accounts. Equipment worth maybe $20,000. Annual revenue around $150,000. Property? House is paid off, worth about $320,000. 2 cars, hers is leased, mine is paid for. Retirement accounts, maybe $60,000 total. So we're talking about roughly $500,000 in total assets, not the $4 million your wife was claiming. Right. She was recruiting her affair partner as an investor based on completely fabricated numbers. Brennan made notes. Children? Twin daughters, Emma and Sophie, 16. They're good kids, but they have been caught in the middle of this mess. Custody preferences? I thought about it. Despite everything, I didn't want to destroy Jade's relationship with the girls. Joint custody, but I'd like primary physical custody. She can have them weekends and holidays. Given the evidence of adultery, attempted fraud, and possible assault, that shouldn't be difficult to arrange. Brennan closed the folder. I'll file the initial paperwork today. Your wife will be served by the end of the week. What should I expect? Depends on her lawyer. If she's smart, she'll settle quickly and quietly. If she's vindictive, this could get ugly. I thought about the woman who tried to bribe a therapist and drug her husband. Plan for ugly. From the lawyer's office, I drove to Emma and Sophie's school. They were waiting in the parking lot, backpacks slung over their shoulders, identical expressions of concern on their faces. Dad, everyone's talking, Emma said as soon as she got in the car. Madison's mom asked if you and Mom are getting divorced. What did you tell her? That it was none of her business, Sophie said. But people are posting stuff on Facebook. Mom's friends are saying you threw her out of the house. I pulled into a coffee shop parking lot and turned to face them. Your mom and I are getting divorced. She's been having an affair with someone named Trent Corren, and there are some other issues we need to work through with lawyers. An affair? Emma's voice was small. Like cheating? Yes. How long? Sophie asked. At least 8 months, that I can prove. They sat in silence for a moment, processing the information. Finally, Emma spoke. Are we going to have to choose sides? No. Your mom made some bad choices, but she's still your mother. This is between her and me, not between her and you two. Where is she now? Sophie asked. At home, as far as I know. She'll probably want to give you her version of events. What's her version? Emma asked. That I'm controlling and emotionally abusive, that I was hiding money from her, that she was trapped in an unhappy marriage. Sophie snorted. That's ridiculous. You're the most laid-back person I know. Some people will believe her story. Others will believe mine. The important thing is that you two know the truth. What's going to happen to us? Emma asked. You'll live with me most of the time, spend weekends and holidays with your mom. Nothing changes about college plans, activities, any of that stuff. What about the house? We'll probably have to sell it, split the proceeds, but not until after you graduate. They were quiet on the drive home. I could see them texting each other, twin telepathy translated into digital communication. Whatever they were discussing, they'd present a united front when we got home. Jade's BMW was in the driveway, along with her sister Karen's Honda. Reinforcements had arrived. Brace yourselves, I told the girls. This might be awkward. Karen was in the kitchen when we walked in, her arms crossed, her expression hostile. She'd never liked me, had always thought Jade had married beneath her potential. Cole, she said, her voice dripping with disdain. I hear you've been busy spreading lies about my sister. I've been telling the truth about your sister. There's a difference. Girls, go to your rooms, Jade said, appearing from the living room. Your Aunt Karen and I need to talk to your father. Actually, they can stay, I said. They're old enough to hear this. This is adult business. This is family business. They're part of the family. Emma and Sophie exchanged a look, then sat at the kitchen island, united front as predicted. Jade's been telling me about your paranoid accusations, Karen said. The spying, the financial manipulation, the threats. It's textbook abuse. Is that what she told you? I pulled out my phone and opened the banking app. Karen, what do you think our household income is? That's none of my business. Jade told her boyfriend we had over $4 million in assets. She showed him forged bank statements to prove it. I handed Karen my phone. This is what we actually have. Karen looked at the screen, her expression shifting from hostility to confusion. This says 40,000. Right, not exactly millionaire territory. Jade said you were hiding accounts. I'm hiding nothing. Every account, every asset, every debt is documented. My lawyer has copies of everything. Your lawyer? Jade's voice was sharp. You hired a lawyer? This morning. You'll be served with divorce papers by Friday. Karen looked back and forth between us, clearly trying to reconcile Jade's story with the evidence on my phone. But she said you had millions. She lied to you, just like she lied to Trent, just like she tried to lie to Dr. Valden. Who's Dr. Valden? Karen asked. Jade shot me a warning look, but I was past caring about her comfort. Our marriage counselor, the one Jade tried to bribe into diagnosing me with a personality disorder. That's not what happened. $15,000, Karen. She offered him $15,000 to write a fake psychological evaluation. Karen stared at her sister. Jade, please tell me that's not true. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Finally, Jade spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. So you did it, Karen said. I was desperate. He was making my life miserable, controlling everything. Stop, Emma said suddenly. Just stop lying. We all turned to look at her. She was staring at her mother with an expression I'd never seen before. Disappointment mixed with disgust. Dad doesn't control anything, Emma continued. He lets us do whatever we want. He pays for everything without complaining. He works 60 hours a week so you can drive a BMW and buy designer clothes. Emma, you don't understand. I understand that you've been cheating on him for months. I understand that you tried to bribe a doctor. I understand that you've been lying to everyone about everything. Sophie nodded in agreement. We're not stupid, Mom. We see things. Jade looked around the room, at her daughter's disappointed faces, at her sister's confusion, at my calm determination. The narrative she'd constructed was falling apart in real time. This isn't over, she said finally. No, I agreed. But it's the beginning of the end. 3 weeks later, I sat in David Brennan's conference room across from Jade and her attorney, a sharp-dressed woman named Patricia Morse who specialized in defending the indefensible. The mediation had been going for 2 hours, and we were finally approaching the endgame. My client maintains that the marriage broke down due to Mr. Marrin's emotional abuse and financial control, Morse said, consulting her notes. She's prepared to accept a 60-40 split of assets in her favor, plus spousal support of $3,000 monthly for 5 years. Brennan didn't even blink. Your client committed adultery, attempted to bribe a medical professional, and systematically drugged my client over a period of months. She's lucky we're not pursuing criminal charges. The alleged drugging is circumstantial. The toxicology report shows consistent zolpidem ingestion over 12 weeks. Dr. Martinez is prepared to testify that the levels indicate deliberate, repeated dosing. Jade squirmed in her chair. She'd lost weight over the past 3 weeks, her face gaunt and drawn. The stress of maintaining her lies while evidence mounted against her was taking its toll. Furthermore, Brennan continued, we have documented evidence of fraud. Mrs. Marrin showed forged financial documents to her affair partner, claiming assets that don't exist. She solicited him as a business partner based on completely fabricated information. That was a private conversation. Mr. Corren is prepared to testify. He's provided copies of the forged documents and recorded conversations where Mrs. Marrin discussed her plans to use divorce proceeds for their joint business venture. I watched Jade's face as her lawyer absorbed this information. Morse hadn't known about Trent's cooperation, and her carefully prepared strategy was crumbling. There's also the matter of the children, Brennan said, pulling out another folder. Both Emma and Sophie have expressed a preference to live primarily with their father. They're old enough for the court to consider their wishes. They've been turned against their mother. They've been told the truth about their mother's behavior. There's a difference. Morse whispered something to Jade, who shook her head violently. They were running out of options, and Jade was too proud to accept reality. My client won't accept anything less than 50% of all assets in joint custody, Morse said finally. Brennan smiled. Then we'll see you in court. I'm confident a judge will be very interested in the evidence of adultery, fraud, and assault. We broke for lunch, and I found myself alone with Jade in the hallway while our lawyers discussed strategy. You're really going to destroy me, she said. I'm really going to tell the truth. If that destroys you, that's on you. The girls will never forgive you for this. The girls already know what you did. They're disappointed in you, not angry at me. She leaned against the wall, suddenly looking older than her 41 years. I never meant for it to go this far. What did you mean? I was going to leave after they graduated. Take half the assets, start fresh somewhere else. The affair was just... I was lonely. And the drugging? The bribery? The forged documents? I panicked. When you started getting suspicious, I thought if I could prove you were unstable, unfit, it would be easier. Easier to what? Steal money we don't have? Destroy my relationship with my daughters? I wanted a different life, Cole. Is that so wrong? I looked at this woman I'd been married to for 18 years, the mother of my children, and felt nothing but sadness. Wanting a different life isn't wrong, Jade, but the way you went about getting it was. So what happens now? Now you accept reality. 40% of assets, no spousal support, weekend custody of the girls. Or we go to trial and you risk losing everything. She was quiet for a long moment. And if I agree? Then we sign papers, sell the house, and move on with our lives. The girls spend weekends with you, holidays alternating. You get to rebuild your relationship with them without the shadow of a criminal trial hanging over everything. You'd really press charges? If you force me to. The evidence is solid, Jade. Dr. Martinez, Dr. Valden, Trent Corren, they'll all testify. Do you really want that to be your legacy? When we reconvened after lunch, Jade looked defeated. She whispered something to her lawyer, who nodded grimly. My client will accept the proposed settlement, Morse said. 40% of marital assets, weekend custody, no spousal support. In exchange for what? Brennan asked. No criminal charges, a confidential settlement agreement, and a joint statement that the marriage ended due to irreconcilable differences. Agreed. We spent the next hour working out details. The house would be sold, proceeds split according to the agreement. Jade would get one of the cars, half the retirement accounts, and a lump sum payment of about $80,000. I'd keep the business, the other car, and primary custody of Emma and Sophie. As we signed the final documents, Jade looked across the table at me. I really did love you once. I know, I loved you too. Do you think we could have made it work? If I hadn't, I don't know, but we'll never find out now. That evening, I sat on the back porch with Emma and Sophie, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. The house felt different now, lighter somehow, as if a weight had been lifted. So it's really over, Sophie asked. The legal part is, we still have to sell the house, figure out where we're going to live, all that practical stuff. Are you okay, Dad? Emma asked. I considered the question. Was I okay? My marriage was over, my family broken, my life completely upended. But for the first time in months, I wasn't walking on eggshells, wondering what mood Jade would be in, what new crisis would emerge. Yeah, I said finally. I think I am. What about Mom? Your mom will figure things out. She always does. Will you ever get married again? Sophie asked. Maybe someday, but not for a long time. I need to remember who I am when I'm not trying to fix someone else's problems. Emma leaned against my shoulder. You're a pretty good dad when you're not distracted by Mom's drama. Thanks, I think. That was a compliment, Sophie said. A backhanded one, but still. We sat in comfortable silence as the stars began to appear. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, house showings, custody schedules, the awkward navigation of a post-divorce relationship with someone who'd tried to destroy me. But tonight, for the first time in years, I felt at peace. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. How did it go? I typed back, It's over, she signed. Celebration dinner? Maybe this weekend. Tonight I just want to be home with the girls. Proud of you, little brother. You handled this like a champion. I looked at my daughters, both scrolling through their phones but still leaning against me, and realized Jake was right. I had handled it well. Not perfectly, there were things I'd do differently if I could, but I'd protected what mattered most. My relationship with Emma and Sophie, my integrity, my future. Jade had wanted a different life, and now she'd have one. Just not the one she'd planned. As for me, I was finally free to discover who I could become when I wasn't constantly trying to save someone who didn't want to be saved. The stars grew brighter as the sky darkened, and for the first time in years,